Welcome to Finding Family DNA, the show about finding and connecting birth families, with your host, Jay Rosenzweig, founder and CEO of BirthParentFinder.com. And now, here's Jay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 44 of Finding Family DNA. I'm Jay Rosenzweig, founder and CEO of BirthParentFinder.com. And as always, our co-host, Misty Gillis. And we're going to bring and talk to Misty in a minute about this particular story. But I want to remind our audience to please subscribe to this channel. We've reached that 4,000 threshold, and we're probably at 40 to 50, going for 5,000. And of course, by subscribing to Finding Family DNA, it does help support our pro bono cases. So Misty, today we're going to talk about our client, Carla Salvatierra, and we'll bring her in a minute. But the subject matter really is about you finding who you believe to be the right family and then attempting to reach out and then not being able to get a hold of people. So what do you do in that case?
So initially in this case, I had originally started out by trying to call some of the people that were involved, especially the DNA matches themselves. Unfortunately, they did not respond to me. I followed up with text messages. I ended up sending letters and unfortunately got no response. And that's when I kind of went over to you and shared that information with you. And you had a really good experience getting the family to speak to you.
Right. And we'll talk about that. And also there's cases where we've actually sent people to people's houses with
That's
letters and that either works out or it doesn't work out. And we've talked about that in the past on other episodes where I believe I sent someone once on Mary Maybe's case. Remember, somebody went to their house and they threatened them. They threatened to call the police. They threatened violence on them. But we don't want that to happen in any of our cases. And I've also had cases where I rang their Ring doorbell and the birth mother came to the door and I told her who I was and told her the story. And it turns out that her children are in the app and they heard my whole conversation and never knew that their mother had another child. And that's crazy.
Oh, wow.
And Misty, that happened twice. So, and I've told our audience that before, and it is what it is. It happens, and it all worked out well. But I want to bring in Carla right now, and Carla, she's been our client. It's got to be over 6 months. It's probably since last year.
It's almost a year, yeah.
Yeah. So Carla, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Jay. Hi, Misty. I'm so excited to be in your show.
And we're excited to have you. Now, I want to let our audience know that you were born in Los Angeles County, 1996. So you are basically, how old are you? You're 29 going on 30. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Oh, my math is pretty good. You're this same age as my middle daughter. So Carla, tell me about growing up not knowing who your father was. Tell me that whole story from the beginning.
So I actually found out that my father wasn't my father because I had a stepfather since I was 1 year. And I found out that he wasn't my father when I was around, I believe, like 8 or 9 years old. And I was okay at first, but then something inside me told me I needed to look for my father. And then that's when I found out that Alexander supposedly was my father. And I tried to reach out to him and everything, but my mom told me that was never my father. But my family member was like, yeah, that's your father. That's your father. So I decided to reach out to him to the point that I also went to Guatemala when I was like 23 or 24 years old. And I finally met him in person. And when I saw him, something inside me didn't feel good. It was like, I don't feel like he's my father. He's like, do you want to talk to him? I was like, no. My mom even asked me, do you want to talk to him? I was like, no, I feel like he's not my father. She was like, yeah, that's your father. And I was like, no, this is not my father. So I decided to go back to Virginia. And I think after a month, I was already here in Virginia. Then I moved to Maryland. I decided to basically do like a DNA test with him. I even contact my birth certificate father that is on it. And I never knew him either, but he told me that he had child support when I was a little girl because my mom said that was my father. And it turns out that when he did the DNA, it came out negative. So he never had child support anymore. And his name is Jeremias Cifuentes, the one that's on my birth certificate. And it turns out that regardless of anything, I mean, both of them did a DNA. I paid for them and they were never my father. So it was shocking for me. I was like, then where do I look for? And then that's why I confront my mom.
So the
and my
man
mom
on your birth certificate, the man on your birth certificate is not your birth father based on DNA showing that there's no connection, correct?
Absolutely.
And then the second guy, Alexander, was that his name?
Yes.
And he lives in Guatemala and you went to see him? And what year was that?
I believe it was 2023 or 22, if I'm not mistaken.
So you flew to Guatemala City, is that right?
Correct.
And how far did he live from the capital?
It's hours from the capital. We live in Sevilla, Quetzaltenango. That's what it's called. Where my mom
I've been to Guatemala. I've been to Guatemala City. I've been there. I worked on a case to find a missing child. And to me, this was 32 years ago. That is not a safe country. I didn't find it safe at all. I don't know. What was it like for you there?
Well, it was kind of scary because when you're in the capital, especially on the airport, people would just get close to be like, do you want to use the phone? And I was like, no. And they didn't feel like left me alone. And I feel weird because I was like, what about they can kidnap me or something if I go with them or something? And you didn't know. So I had to wait for my family member there. My mom had everything arranged for them to pick me up and everything. She was like, don't talk to anybody if it's none of your family. I was like, okay.
So once you found out that this guy, Alexander, wasn't your birth father, did you still have a relationship with him or no?
It was shocking for him too, because he was 100% sure that he was my father. He even showed me like he had pictures of me when I was a little girl, but my mom never let him be close to me, threatening him with putting him through ice, calling him ice and everything. And I was just like, then why you never went to court if you really wanted to be in my life, right? Like nothing should be able to stop you. But he was like, I was so scared of your mom and etc. And it's kind of weird because I really thought that I was your father because I always thought that you were my daughter. I never doubted it. And I was like, well, it's shocking to me too because now I don't know where to start from him. And that time me and my mom were in an argument. We didn't talk at all. And it was hard. And she said that I didn't deserve to know who my father is. She's like, you claim him as your father. They didn't tell you that he was your father. And I was like, okay.
But did your mom believe that Alexander was your father? Did she
Correct.
believe that?
Yes, she did believe that.
And obviously, based on this information, you believe you were conceived in Guatemala, not Los Angeles, correct?
I always believed that I was conceived in Los Angeles, not in Guatemala. Because
why do you think Los Angeles?
Well, she always says her story when we used to talk, and I was present in all the conversations she had with her families. She was like, I conceived Carla in Los Angeles, but nobody knew anything about my pregnancy. Not even none of my family members. I was really reserved. That's what she said. She would use like baggy clothes and nobody knew that she was pregnant.
So what led you to us?
So what led me to you was because I talked to some people and they told me that the best thing was to look for a detective that they can search even if it's from California. So that's when I decided to look up detectives in California. And then that's when one of your videos popped up, even on TikTok. And I was like, okay, let me try this. So that's when I decided to contact you. And I went through your website and got your number there.
And I believe there's another PI who's a colleague of mine through my professional association. You had contacted that person also, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then she actually referred you to me also, I believe.
Yes.
And she does refer a lot of business to me, and I appreciate all that. So you did take an Ancestry DNA test. Mm-hmm. When you got those results, what's the first thing you did?
When I got the results, the first thing I did was I started to just contact the first cousins I had, the main ones that have DNA compatible, and the strongest one, which were the first ones. That's what I was told. I texted them, I
And did they
emailed.
respond to you at all?
I had a couple of them that they did, but they were asking me questions, and there were questions that I didn't even know. They were like, "What's your father's name? What part of Guatemala? This and this and that." And I was like, I don't know anything about my father, so I can't say exactly what part of Guatemala is he, and I don't know his name. So it was unhelpful for me because I couldn't have nothing helped me there.
And Misty looked at the first thing we do before we take a case. We look at the DNA, and we saw a lot of decent matches on the paternal side. I'm going to show our audience the DNA matches on the paternal side. Obviously, we crossed off their full names. So, Misty, could you explain when you looked at this DNA, what you saw, and why you decided to take this case?
So when I looked at the list of DNA matches, it was quite evident that her father was from Guatemala as well. Looking at the parents of these matches, the grandparents, they all went back to Guatemala, some of them Honduras in more distant times, but predominantly the Guatemala area. And the first couple of matches on there shared in the high 400 centimorgan range, which is either a first cousin once removed or a half first cousin. And Carla had reached out to one of her matches before, and she was given some surnames of the family. One of them in particular didn't know who their father's father was, but there was a surname there, Racinos. And when I started looking at the other DNA matches and building out the trees, I was able to isolate some of the last names, and it was clearly evident that these matches would have first cousins to Carla, meaning that their parents' half sibling is likely the parent of Carla.
So I find that interesting because usually when you have relatives in a foreign country like Guatemala, sometimes Puerto Rico, sometimes Mexico, you're not going to be able to trace those relatives.
Right.
So in this particular case, we got lucky, didn't we?
Yes. And I was very lucky because Family Search has quite an extensive collection of civil registrations in Guatemala. So I was able to identify the match's parents who were born in Guatemala. I was able to find their birth records, their grandparents, and things like that, and construct the family tree.
And then you figured out that the birth father could have been one of three brothers. Is that right?
That's right.
So I'm looking at that top match. So in relation to that top match, what relation to that top match was the
that
birth
top
father?
match is a half cousin, but it's the second match that was crucial, that it's a half sibling of one of her parents.
Got it. And I know that Carla talked to that first match and they probably didn't know anything. So there were three possibilities, and then you had me send letters. You gave me the names. I looked them up in my database. You had me send letters to how many people?
To 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people, I believe.
And we sent I remember sending those letters out, and this is our form letter that we use. And how many people responded?
0.
Honestly, usually, even if we send out 1 or 2, someone's going to respond. And we were quite shocked in this case that nobody responded. So I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to tell our audience what I did to finally get someone to respond. So we'll be right back with Finding Family DNA. This is Jay Rosenzweig, the founder and CEO of BirthParentFinder.com. Sometimes the missing piece of your life is a person you've never met. For over 2 decades, our team of expert investigators and genealogists at BirthParentFinder.com has relied on the power of DNA and genetic genealogy to reconnect thousands of families separated by time, distance, and circumstance. Visit BirthParentFinder.com and begin your journey today. Your family isn't lost, it's waiting to be found. So we're back, and I'm going to tell you guys how I was able to get one of the birth relatives, who I believe was possibly the birth father, to talk to me. And I'm going to tell his first name. His name is Ruben, and he lives in California. And there's a lot of luck involved. I actually called his phone number on the weekend and he answered. but Misty and Carla, he never got the letter that we sent because it was sent to a different address.
Oh.
So so everything I told him on the phone and through text messages made sense to him. He was trying to figure this all out. This guy, Ruben, did live in Los Angeles. And I told Carla this. He did live in Los Angeles at the time you were conceived. You remember me telling you that, Carla?
Yes.
Right. And the one brother who could have been the possible birth father, his name was Javier. Is that right, Misty? I believe it was Javier.
I
could say the first names, not saying the last names. That Javier lived in Guatemala, but we don't know if he was in LA at the time. So I'm talking to these brothers. I'm talking to actually Ruben, and Ruben reached out to his brother, but he said he would get back to me. He said he would call me and discuss this on a Saturday. I'm waiting for the call. I never got that call. And I texted him. I go, Ruben, I want to give Carla closure. Carla has a right to know who her birth father is. I mean, if she doesn't meet him, we understand. If he doesn't want a relationship, we understand. She just wants to know where she comes from, medical history, and get to the bottom of this.
And
because
she deserves
you're obviously your mother. Right. Your mother wasn't helpful. So as of this day, Ruben has not gotten back to me. And I did tell him, I go, hey, you don't want my client showing up at your door. And obviously you're not going to do that. We don't recommend that. You live on the East Coast. He lives on the West Coast. I don't know how big his family is. But Misty, let me ask you this. Based on the ages of these brothers, and I don't remember the name of the third one, who do you think the birth father is based on the information that we have?
I believe it's tied between Ruben and his brother Maynard, but I do suspect Ruben. That's clearly circumstantial, though, because genetically it could be either of the brothers.
But I think if it was Ruben, he would have actually said something. And I think one of his brothers said, hey, I don't want to get involved.
That could be.
Yeah, and we did show a picture of your mother. We did show a picture of you. And I kept saying, this is a beautiful young lady, and she just wants answers. He didn't deny that. And the reason why I'm bringing you on today, Carla, is when we've never done this before. And you agreed to do this, and Misty and I talked about this. This is your plea to your birth father about whoever he is, please reach out. But before we get to that, I want you to tell me, Carla, your reaction when Misty, and I know we went back and forth. We didn't think you were being a pest and all that, but you have a right to know. And I guess it's very stressful. We see that all the time. What was your reaction when we told you that we believe your birth father is one of these three guys? What was your reaction?
When I actually received this news, I was in shock at the same time and feel of joy, because I was like, finally, God was hearing my prayers. And the only thing I want to know is just who he is. Like, I'm not asking him to be in my life if he doesn't want to, but I just want to know if he looks like me, if he ever knew about my existings, like not even for money. I just want to know him. That's all. And if he doesn't want to know anything about me, it's fine. But when I found out about this, I was like, yes, finally, now I can know who is it down, who can be, like, and we can narrow now the information to be much easier. Because when I first started, I didn't have anything. So I'm really happy
right, and I'm trying to remember. Did he provide a picture of himself?
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
He did. And that, honestly, Misty, very rarely do we get someone to send a picture. Right. And I don't know. Think about this. Why would this guy send a picture? And our audience could get involved in the comments. Why would this guy send a picture, be very transparent, be very open, and then a couple of days later, after we asked him, hey, did you speak to your brothers? He ghosted us.
I think you're right, Jay. I think somebody told him not, to stop speaking to you.
And I don't think Ruben is your birth father because of how cooperative he was. And he goes, I don't know who this woman is. I probably would have remembered. I was in Los Angeles at that time, but so was his brother. But we don't have a picture of that brother. And want to tell them if they're watching the show, which by the way, I am going to forward this to them. If they're watching the show, no one's in trouble. You're going to be 30 years old. There's no child support. They don't owe you anything other than an explanation that, yes, I remember being with your birth mother back in 1990, probably the end of 95, maybe early 96, possibly. It would have been 95, right? You were born in July, right?
No, I was born in 1996.
No, but you're conceived in 95, probably.
Yes. At the end of 95.
Right. So it could have been, right. It could have been around Christmas time. But we don't know. We don't know. What was your mother doing? If she was in Guatemala, when was she there?
Well, basically, what the family has told me, she was here since 1994. She had come from Guatemala, and she was like in and out. So it's kind of hard to know exactly what exactly year she was out and what exactly year she was in. But I think her first time was here when she was in 1994, 93, I think it was.
You don't know that for sure because she could have got pregnant before she came to the U.S. We just don't know that.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
And then you were born. Do you remember the hospital? Did they tell you what hospital you were born at?
It's on my birth certificate. Don't have it in my mind right now.
I think you might have been born in the San Fernando Valley, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think it's San Fernando Valley. I think it's in Los Angeles.
Okay, because I think possibly talking to Ruben, he may have lived in the East San Fernando Valley. We're not sure. But what I want to take this moment, and we have time, I want you to talk. We don't know which one's your birth father. I want you to talk to your birth father. Tell him why you're trying to reach out to him and what your goal is.
Okay. So I'm actually looking for my birth father because I want to, know him, and also want to know if he knew anything about me, but which it looks like he didn't. So I want to know if he wants to be in my life to know me much better and get some time that we lost because we both lost our time. He didn't know anything about me, or I didn't know anything about him until now that I'm almost 30 years old. And I'm not asking for any money. I just want to know him, like for first time in life, see him in person and see if we can build that connection in the long run.
Do you have children, Carla?
Yes, I have 2 beautiful kids that I would like him to meet him one day. And I have my family.
Yeah, that would be
I'm basically right now alone, and I would really like for him to be in my life because I think I deserve to have my father in my life too. Like if he's willing to, I'm willing to present my 2 kids, my family. Like I want him to know who I am. Like I'm not looking him to get any money, nothing. I just want his time and willingness to be able to know me more and my kids.
Very well said, Carla. And you live on the East Coast?
Correct.
What area do you actually live in?
Maryland.
And that's pretty close to the DC area?
Yes. It's not that far. It's like 30 minutes from DC. Washington is more farther.
So tell me about what kind of work you do, what your hobbies are, and maybe your birth father has some of the same interests.
I'm actually a businesswoman. I have a construction company, and I also do Lyft on the side to be able to help my family. And I mean, I'm a general contractor, basically. So I do painting, wallpaper installations, plumbing, electrician, roofing, everything. We do everything, and I have an amazing crew. So as you see, I'm not looking for money. I have my home business.
That's amazing, Carla.
Yeah,
Thank
that's very good. So do you have any other hobbies?
I go to the gym. I like to go to the gym, and I love to dance.
So when I showed you the picture of Ruben, did you see any resemblances at all?
I did. We have, I was seeing that his nose looks just like mine. His eyes are wider like mine. But I would like to see him in person, not through a picture.
Right, but we don't know if he's your birth father. It could be his brother Maynard. And I think Ruben may have been 19 at the time, and Maynard might have been a little older, and I believe Javier was even older than that. But I think they're all within 5 years of each other, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm just going off memory, Misty.
Yeah, you're doing good. You're doing good.
Because you worked this case, and I just did the research to get their contact information. But obviously, the goal of this episode, which we've never ever done an episode to try to reach out to the birth father. I did years ago. We were trying to reach a birth father that no one knew, so we actually approached a news channel in I believe it was New York. So the client made a plea for his birth father through a New York TV station, and that didn't work. But the guy showed up on DNA about a year later.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, that kind of plea doesn't work. This one I am going to send to Ruben. That we don't mean any harm. We just want you to have answers, Carla, and you deserve those answers. And is there anything else you want to say, Carla, before we end this?
Well, the only thing I just want to say is that I think regardless of anything, if any child behaves good or not, deserves to know the reality of their birth parents, no matter what. And that's one of the things I always told my mom, that I deserve to know who my father is. And she will always mention it every time, saying that I don't deserve it because I haven't been a good daughter, and etc. So that's one of the reasons why I'm saying that no matter what, every child deserves the truth of their birth parents.
Mhm.
And I've been through a hard life, to be honest. I've been passing really hard times, and I just want to know who he is. Like, at least meet him one time, and then from there, he doesn't want to know anything about me. I promise you, I will never, ever bother him or even ask for him. I just want to know. I'm sorry, I just got sentimental.
It's an
I
emotional
just want to know.
topic. You deserve to know. It's hard.
I'm sorry. It's
No,
just,
and you have every right. You have every right to be emotional. You really do.
Yep.
And I'm hoping this works out for you. Misty, I think this was before you came along. This reminds me of the Samantha Ramirez case where she did not know who her birth father was. And I believe I contacted the right family. It was one of two brothers. And they ghosted me, but I was able to get medical. Carla had cancer, and she was in remission several times. I'm sorry, this was not Carla, Samantha. She was in remission several times. And we were able to figure out that her birth father was one of two guys. But when I told them about her, that wonderful, just like Carla, wonderful person, wonderful family, they ghosted me and they didn't want anything to do with it. And I actually just posted recently, like last month, my interview with her. It wasn't part of the show, but I did post that interview, and it was very emotional, and the audience just really felt for her. And just by the way, everyone, Samantha is fine. She's in remission. She's not dying, and because the doctor gave her 2 to 3 years to survive, but she's a survivor. She's fine. But the fact that she never did get to meet her birth father was traumatic for her, but she did get that medical history, and that cancer did run in the family. But Carla, before we go, I know you want that medical history on your paternal side. That's so important because when you go to the doctor, doctors are going to ask you about family medical problems, and you can't answer that question.
No, I can't answer because I don't know anything about my father's side. I know about my mom, but not my father's side.
Right. And with that, I have nothing else for you. I appreciate you being here. Misty, anything else you want to end with?
I honestly hope this works just for Carla. I mean, she deserves answers just like anybody else, and she's such a truly warm person. She has children in her life. Those children deserve to have medical history as well. So I really just hope that there's a positive outcome in all of this.
And we can share photos of your children if you'd like with that family.
I would appreciate it. I don't mind sharing them. I mean, like I said, in case of anything, because I don't know, it's just weird to me how he just, for example, Ruben responded and then I don't know where he just ghosted. Maybe his brother told him not to answer no more, or maybe sometimes in my mind it crosses in like saying, did my mom found them or what? That intimidated them? It's just things that comes into my mind, and I just want to understand why. Like, why would he stop talking? Like, at first, both of them were corroborated from what I understand. They were
Right.
willing
And there may be
help.
circumstances that we don't know about. There may be something that your mother is hiding from you. We'll maybe one day find that out. But anyway, we're going to end this. And again, thank you for being here. Episode 44 of Finding Family DNA is in the books, and we'll see everyone next time.